Hi everyone. Today we are starting with chapter 6, Social Responsibility and Business Ethics, 11th standard syllabus. And why we are doing this chapter, why social responsibility is talked about in business studies. 26/11 Mumbai attack, 2008 Taj group of hotels where 1200 and 1500 guests were evacuated by employees, just a loss of few lives, 31 guests and somewhere around 28 of the employees. Apart from that, the Taj group of hotels took the great responsibility of evacuating all the people out there, taking care of employees as well as the workers, as well as the guests, everyone around, and things worked on a very beautiful platform for them. Nowhere in the manual of Taj group of hotels was it mentioned for the employees that an eventuality like 26/11 may happen and you have to take the following steps to take care of your guests. It was purely their responsibility towards their organization, towards humanity, which makes Taj group of hotels one of the best. And it goes way back to when J.R.D. Tata was disallowed an entry to one of the hotels, saying that Indians and dogs are not allowed. At that time, with the value and the thought process, he started the hotels, the dream which came true for him. And that dream with social responsibility towards respect to every human being continues till date. The value system of Taj group of hotels has made it one of the most socially responsible group of hospitality management. Now, what is the reason behind following the social aspect of it or human aspect of it? See, it's an obligation of the business to serve the society in the best values, but it is a choice of a business to whether do it or not do it. Obligation is there, but choice is also there. People do adapt undesirable practices like adulterated food or charging high price for something, but they also take up the desirable practices like providing good quality product at reasonable prices. It's just purely choice of the business. So whenever we talk about anything related to being morally right or wrong according to the society, whenever we talk about being providing our own responsibility, being responsible towards the society, it's just our own way of doing things, and that obligation comes, it is there, but that obligation comes from within us. It does not come out from anywhere else. If you talk about environment and if you are fond of eco-friendly products, so that means what? You are being socially responsible. It's your individual's responsibility. If you are buying good quality products and not low quality product, then again it's your pocket, it's your choice, and the choice of the business of manufacturing that particular product. So social responsibility is a very, very wide topic which we need to understand in a very simple manner, that it's a basic voluntary action. It's a choice which a business, if it wants to follow, may follow, if it does not want to follow, may not follow. But it's a responsibility towards the community, towards the society, towards the consumer, or the customer, towards the owner, towards everyone who's around and who form the peer or who form the basic resources of the society. So when we are talking about social responsibility or when we are talking about ethics, we need to adhere to them if we want to be a business which wants to serve the society in a longer for a longer range of time or longer interest. If you want to earn profit for a longer time, if you want to stay, if you want to sustain in the market, if you want to expand your target market, you need to be socially responsible towards the society. So to begin with, let's start the definition of social responsibility. Social responsibility of business refers to obligation. Now what is it? It's an obligation of to take these decisions or those decisions and perform those actions which are desirable in terms of objectives and values of a society. So what is desirable in terms of or objectives or values of a society? Providing right quality product. What is desirable? Not providing adulterated goods. What is desirable when you talk in terms of providing at reasonable price the goods? You do not manipulate your customers, you are being socially responsible. What is the assumption of social responsibility? Why people want to assume social responsibility? What is the basic fundamental about social responsibility? See, the concept of Atithi Devo Bhavo went into the minds of the hospitality management of Taj group of industries, and they still follow it. That's the Indian value and tradition, and they thought of it. Yes, the guests who are there are very, very important. So the assumption was what? The assumption of social responsibility of business enterprise implies that they respect the aspirations of society. That particular aspiration of society, Indian culture, Indian value, that particular one who comes as a guest is like a god to us. That aspiration made them think of valuing their customers more than their own lives. So one of the people lost their family, one of the managers lost their family out there, one of the chef lost his life. So many people lost their lives just in order to save the none other than the guests who were there. Concept, we are talking about the respect, the aspiration of society, and would try their best to contribute to the achievement of these aspirations. They contributed their best to the achievement of the aspiration along with their profit interest. Profit interest was not in the minds of the employees, but on the larger, if you see on the larger platform, yes, they just provided those that kind of values to their customer. They provided that kind of services to their customer that the customer would come back. Yes, this is the place which takes care of us. Not only were the guests taken care of, that was from the employees front. Ratan Tata himself, what he did was, there were some vendors outside Mumbai Taj Hotel. Those vendors were they got, actually the whole area got disturbed. There was one part of the hotel which went under renovation. So all those vendors had to shift their place of working to some other place. The vendors were taken care of, they were given some financial help, the employees were given financial help. There were employees who got mentally disturbed because of such an event. Their families were well taken care of. So many people. What was the need? There was no need. An appreciation would have been enough, but no. He felt the responsibility of taking care of the people because they were his people. So he was responsible towards his people were responsible towards the guests, and the chain continues. So it's towards the objective aspirations of society. Of course, once you do good, it comes back to you. So if you take care of the environment, without anything, without anything in your mind, environment, you just don't have to expect things, and things come back to you. That is what is the fundamental of social responsibility. My idea of social responsibility is that if you do a selfless deed, leave it there and then, the environment takes care and it comes back to you in a better manner. So leave it there and then, and that's what social responsibility talks about. Now, what is the idea behind social responsibility? The idea behind social responsibility is that responsible business and any responsible member of society must act with due concern for the effects on the lives of other people. This is what I said just now. This is why I gave the example of Tata Group. What is the need for social responsibility? Now, why do we need social responsibility? Now, very basic concept of social responsibility is very much ethical. Here I have taken SR as social responsibility so that it's easier and for you to understand also and to know what we are talking about. So the concept of social responsibility is ethical issue. It involves question of what is morally right or wrong in relation to firm's responsibility. Do you think supplying kind of goods which are undesirable, adulterated, is a good practice? No. in reality, what are we getting? We are getting adulterated products, we are getting it at high price, we are getting it and we're getting those products, we're buying it, and people say that it's okay, business is manufacturing, but then the customer has the purchasing power to buy it. Where else a customer would go? How would he decide what is right or wrong? If business decides what is right or wrong, the customer itself gets the right kind of product and leaves the wrong kind of product, things get sorted out. So, social responsibility has an element of voluntary action, like I told, on part of the business person who may feel free to perform or not to perform. Your wish. There's a flood affected area. A particular kind of organization donates some money. Their choice. If they don't want to donate, their choice. Very purely their choice. COVID-19 happened. Some firms, they are giving 100% salary to their employees as they're working from home. Some are giving 70%. Choice of the business to take voluntary action. That's their voluntary action. They could have given full salary, later on taken care of the things. If for a year for a year a business firm does not earn profit, what big thing may happen? Nothing. You don't have to think of profit all the time. So you can take care of the employee, because things are available in the market at the same rate. In rather, inflation is more, the GDP is going down, there is economic growth is suffering. So in that case, if the business does not earn profit for a year, what difference does it make? They could have done that, given 100% salary to their employees, because employees are ultimately working. That is for the business to decide to adhere or to not to adhere. The business or business person also exercise their freedom for deciding the extent to which they would like to serve various sections of society. Of course, yes. How you want to serve different sections of society is your choice. So you want to cater to the customer or not, that's your choice. You have an obligation towards the society. See, if you really talk about it, there are business firms who are selling cars. There are business firms who are selling scooters. They are the one who are encouraging environmental issues and environmental problem. Pollution is there, given by them. There are industries who are manufacturing product, but they were giving pollution to the society. If they really take good steps to stop this pollution, if they make it mandatory that every scooter which we sell, after 15 days free of cost pollution check is available, things will get sorted out. So it's for the business to decide. Not only weaker sections of society, for all sections of society, various sections of society. So all business people do not feel equally responsible towards society, and that's true. That's why we find people being manipulated. That was the reason why there was an act which was initiated called Consumer Protection Act. Why? Because business was not being socially responsible, and people had complaints. That's why consumer forums were formed. That's why consumer organizations are there. That's why consumer awareness program is there. That's why on your television or on your FM radio, Jago Grahak Jago type of programs are there. Why? Because business is not being socially responsible. But then again, responsibility to a particular level is good. Now, I'm every time I'm giving you some kind of an answer and I'm coming back to it again. That means this is a debatable issue. We cannot give 100% to the business to be responsible. We cannot give 100% to the customer to be responsible. There are going to be some issues. It's a debatable issue. If business tries to be socially responsible, it's good for the business. If customer tries to be really responsible and take care that the business does not manipulate it, it's really good. So both have they both have to actually work in together, whichever way, and business has to adhere to social responsibility. If people take it positively, they go in for a long run. If they don't, then the business finishes off in a short run, or they earn profit for some time and later on they suffer. Conclusion: it is a debatable issue. Some business follow social responsibility, others don't, but there's always a need to uplift the weaker sections, or rather all sections or various sections. I should write out here. Various sections of society. Choice lies in the hands of the business. So it's for business to choose whether to adhere to or not to adhere to social responsibility. Next, I'm discussing with you what are desirable and undesirable practices of business, which business needs to follow, and the second thing is the difference between social and legal responsibility and how it affects the business. Alright, so to continue with the socially desirable and undesirable practices, we would like to know what these are. Socially desirable practices, meaning says these are the ones which improve the image of enterprise and also make them profitable. Of course, yes, desirable activities are which are liked by And socially undesirable practices which are not liked by, so are the ones which may increase the profit of an enterprise but have adverse effect on society at large, and ultimately the business may also suffer. Examples here are supplying good quality goods, creating healthy working condition, honestly paying taxes, prevention of pollution, attending to customer complaints. Desirable practices. Undesirable: manufacture and sale of adulterated products, making deceptive advertisement, not paying taxes which are due, polluting environment, exploiting workers. Now, impact: the socially desirable practices have a positive impact forever on your business, long run. Our socially undesirable practices have adverse effect. For some time they may be good, but on later on or for a longer run they are not a very good idea. Next we go on to legal and social responsibility. Now the difference between legal and social responsibility says, first, why we are doing this legal and social responsibility, we'll be doing some kinds of social responsibility later on, but for time being, first of all we need to understand that a business has to comply legally as well as have a voluntary action. Now why we are studying about legal responsibility? Every business in India has a mandate to work according to the legal complication. Like for example, it's mandate for the cigarette companies to write on the packet of cigarette smoking is injurious to health. For weights and measures, according to Weights and Measures Act, it's important to write the exact weight. From consumer protection point of view, it's mandatory for every business to write on the package or label complete information, that is according to right to information. So there are some legal compliances which every business has to follow, but along with that legal compliance there is a social responsibility which business must follow. So is social responsibility a legal responsibility or not? No, it is not. Social responsibility is a voluntary action, and whereas legal responsibility is a legal action. Social responsibility is not mentioned or codified in law. Legal responsibility is codified in law. It's mentioned. Now, when you talk about social responsibility, like I told you, it's an obligation towards a society, whereas legal is what kind of an obligation? Legal obligation. You have to follow it. You can't, just go beyond it. So, we'll just cover it out here. Legal responsibility, social responsibility. It is mere compliance with the law, that is obligation according to the law. Here it's firm's obligation or firm's recognition of social obligation. So firm recognizes itself with the obligation to work towards the various sections of society in a social manner or socially desirable manner. Coverage, covered by law, this is not covered by law. Scope, this is narrow in scope because legal responsibility is part of social responsibility. This is wider in scope. Action, it is a legal action, it's a voluntary action. We can cover one more point out here. If I just take it out here, result, if we talk about, I can cover that point also out here. Result, if you talk about, so if not followed, there is a scope of punishment, right? And here, if not followed, there is no punishment. Why? Because it's voluntary action, it's your choice. So these are the differences between legal and social responsibility. After that, very important thing, why do firms talk about social responsibility? So April 1st, 2014, there was a mandate, and India is the first country to follow that mandate, that according to the Companies Act of 2013, 1st April 2014, there was a mandate that India as a country will follow social responsibility in the following way. And what kind of social responsibility? Corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility meaning is the responsibility of enterprise for the impact on society. So the enterprises will follow the following thing. The provision regarding corporate social responsibility are provided in section 135 and schedule 8 of Companies Act of 2013. This came into action on 1st April 2014, where it was mandatory for the corporates in India to follow, as well as this was the first country, I am repeating it, first country to initiate this. According to corporate social responsibility rules, every company, whether public limited or private limited, or has net worth of rupees 500 crore. Second, a turnover of rupees to 1000 crore. A net profit of 5000 crore needs to spend at least 2% of its average net profit for the immediate preceding financial year on the CSR activities. Every corporate has to spend 2% of its net profit in the coming year for the benefit of the society in the terms of corporate social responsibility. This was complete introduction to social responsibility, corporate social responsibility. Next we go on to the arguments for, or that is why do we need social responsibility, arguments for the social responsibility, as well as the social responsibility towards different interest groups and the kinds of social responsibility. Alright, to continue with the kinds of social responsibility, actually this part is not there in the syllabus, but without understanding what are the different kinds of social responsibility, we cannot understand that what will be the various social responsibility or what will be the social responsibility towards various interest groups. So first we need to understand is that what are the kinds of social responsibility. So to start with, first is economic responsibility. What is economic responsibility? Business says, I'm manufacturing goods and services, providing it to you. It's my economic responsibility, though I'm earning profit out of it, but if I would not manufacture, who would provide you goods and services? So a business enterprise is basically an economic activity. It is primary social responsibility. Its primary social responsibility is economic, that is to produce goods and services that society wants. So had there been no business which could have manufactured refrigerator, television, they would have not been made available to us and we would have not been able to buy them and sell them at a profit. Of course, profitability is the basic aspect. Nobody is going to work for free. There is little discretion in performing this responsibility. There is a lot of discretion in performing this responsibility. How much profit do you want? What kind of goods and services do you want to deal in? A lot of discretion in the hands of the business. Next is legal responsibility. We partly discussed this. It is basically we talk about legal responsibility in terms of what is codified in the law. This is not discretionary. It has to be followed. Mandatory. It is mandatory. So every business has responsibility to operate within the laws of the land. You can't go beyond that, otherwise you would be punished. These laws are meant for the good of the society, of course, for the benefit of the society. A law-abiding enterprise is socially responsible enterprise as well. Why? Because if you abide by law, that means you're following whatever was meant for the business to follow. I've already given example, like for example, in India, there's a ban on advertisement of alcohol on television. So none of the companies advertise alcohol. Companies advertise on TV with alcohol, but they advertise by the name of water or soda or something else. Right? That is why we have Royal Stag water, we have Segram soda and so on. Alright. Ethical responsibility. This includes the behavior of the firm that is expected by society but not codified by law. It's your ethics, what you feel is right or wrong. Morally right, morally wrong is one of the social responsibility which business has to follow. It's not meant anywhere, it's not written anywhere, it is not codified, it's not mandatory for you, but if you follow it, you are in a better position. For example, respecting the sentiments and dignity of people while advertising for a product. Of course, yes, you cannot demean anybody. Even if we are trying to do negative publicity or negative advertising, you're trying to take over a particular product, you can't name that product. There's a law about it. You cannot name a product. Like for example, if you're comparing two products, maybe you're talking about the detergent powder. So even if there's a comparison, they cannot name each other. They may take up the slogans, but they will not name each other. So these are the ethics. You have to respect the sentiments. Alright, there is element of voluntary action in performing this responsibility. Purely voluntary. Why? Because ethics is one's own personal choice. You cannot force ethics on anyone. You cannot force anybody to be good or bad. It's their own choice. Next is discretionary responsibility. This refers to purely voluntary obligation that an enterprise assumes. Discretion, your choice. Ethics is your choice. This discretionary responsibility is your choice. There's a flood affected area. A particular firm wants to contribute to the betterment of that area. They can do that. There are organizations, whenever there's a flood or there's a mishap or anything goes wrong, or there's a kind of cut off from the society because of XYZ reasons, whatever it is, there's a small kind of civil war going on there invariably, or there's a particular kind of activity which is some kind of a curfew imposed or something like that is happening. It's choice of that particular firm to go and send their people or to send help. Companies do drop in help for this purpose. There was this, they call it Uttarakhand tsunami, but which actually was not, but then there was a lot of chaos, and many people lost their lives. A lot of tourists, lot of people who went for a lot of pilgrims who lost their life when they were visiting the temple in Uttarakhand. Now, what exactly did the companies do at that time, corporates do? They extended extensive help to the people for traveling from one place to another, for providing them with food and many other facility. That was just discretionary responsibility of the firms. Nobody had forced them for anything. Now, this refers to purely voluntary obligation that an enterprise assumes. It is responsibility of the company management to safeguard the capital investment by avoiding speculative activity and undertaking only healthy business ventures. Their choice. You want to do speculation, it's your choice. Speculative activities, if you want to do sattebazi, it's your choice. If you don't want to do, it's your choice. Safeguard the capital investment. Someone has invested in your firm, you're safeguarding that, or you're putting it in a wrong venture, again your choice. There are firms, if you remember, there was this mobile company which had come out, I don't remember the exact name, which charged for freedom mobiles 251. Yeah, they charged 251 for they asked everybody on the social media to pay 251 rupees and they would get some mobile or some services free, and then the company vanished and nobody knows, and nobody is accountable for that company, nobody is there, no action has been taken because we do not know the source, who was there, what was there, who did what, nothing is known. Discretionary responsibility, ethical responsibility, it was their ethics, it was there, and it was their discretion to manipulate the people. They did it on their own. Speculation, it was totally speculative. People thought 250 rupees hi to hai, to kya hota hai? That is where the customer went wrong. He was not responsible, but otherwise that was business own discretion and ethical responsibility. Next we come to social responsibility towards different interest groups. Now you have a social responsibility towards different interest groups invariably, starting with social responsibility towards the shareholders or owners. What is the responsibility of business towards shareholders and owners? First, if somebody has invested money in your business, please take care of that investment and provide them fair return. Second, give them proper, accurate, full information, and most important, safeguard their investment. Do not put it into speculative, unwanted practices. So, responsibility towards the shareholders or owners. Business enterprise has a responsibility to provide fair returns to shareholders, first thing, or owners, of course, on the investment. Second, to ensure safety of investment, for sure. You can't put the investment in a wrong place. Business must provide with regular, accurate, full information about its working as at the present time as well as for future prospects. So either of the ways, business has to take care of the returns of the shareholders or the owners, right? Next we come to is the other responsibility towards the community, towards the customers, etc. So to continue with the responsibility towards the workers, what is the responsibility of business towards the workers? First, good working condition. Second, to take care of the democratic rights of workers. Third, that you have to take care of your workers not only in terms of working environment, in totality. So management of an enterprise is also responsible for providing opportunities to the workers for meaningful work. So whatever they are capable of, give them that kind of work so they perform that kind of work efficiently and effectively. Right kind of working conditions. So the working conditions should be very good, right, congenial, happy, kind of an environment where people really want to put the best of their ability. When cooperation of workers, yes, if you provide them meaningful work, and if you provide them good working condition, you'll undoubtedly win cooperation of your workers. Respect democratic rights of workers. Yeah, they can form their unions if they wish to. Otherwise also, if somebody comes with a particular suggestion or some particular kind of complaint, you need to attend to the people. The workers must also be ensured a fair wage, so they should be given a good wage, fair deal from the management. Most important, if you don't get paid according to what you're performing, you're not happy in the organization, that organization can never prosper and cannot talk about the social responsibility being adhered to. So when people are paid properly, they work properly, so they get a fair deal in it. Next we talk about is responsibility towards the consumers. Supply of right quality of product at reasonable price in right quantity. These are the basic things which you need to adhere to. The consumer has a right to information, that all the things on the package and label are properly mentioned. Manufacturing date, expiry date, MRP, whatever it is there, that kind of information is very mandatory to be provided to the consumer, so that the consumer does not face any problem and business does not bear any repercussion of losing a customer. The business must take care of the consumers by supplying the right quality and quantity of goods and services to consumers at reasonable prices. Just now told you that. The enterprise must take proper precaution against adulteration. Yes, no adulterated goods. Nowadays, what is available when you go and buy dal, you go and buy pulses. Sometimes, when we wash the pulse, there's a color which goes off from there. The pulse is a natural grown, it's a naturally grown grain, and you cannot have it cannot be colored up, but then they are colored up to give them a glossy sheen, shine, and with the color they mix some kind of wax which gives a sheen. Then the apples have that kind of a sheen, the watermelon has got a pink color injected in it, or that red color injected in it. So all these things, this adulteration has to be stopped, and if business is continuously doing that, business may suffer in the long run. The enterprise must not provide poor quality goods, must be courteous to consumers. Yes, you need to be respectful to consumers. Consumer or customer is a king. Must avoid misleading advertisement. There was a company, sunflower oil, manufacturing normal oil, and they used to write vitamin E. Now someone, what they did was, they just immediately they lodged a complaint. They got it checked and the lab, that whether the oil has vitamin E in it or not, and while checking it, they got to know that there was no vitamin E. They lodged a complaint against it, and since then sunflower oil writes uh, vitamin E lab tested, contains vitamin E lab tested. Then there was this product called Amul Macho. There was an advertisement on undergarments. That was objected by some parents. They were watching television along with the family, and that advertisement was some kind of objectionable. You would not believe, Supreme Court passed a judgment, and where they said to stop this ad to be put on the TV, or to be advertised, this product to be advertised on the television. Alright. Customers must have right to information about the product, so that they make right choice of purchasing a product. So they should make right choice at the time. When you can't force customer to buy a particular kind of product, whatever they feel like buying, they would buy that only. They must have enough rights or enough power to exercise their rights, and that's only possible when business adheres to the responsibility towards the consumers. Next we come to is responsibility towards the community and government. See, the business does not have the right to have, not exactly right, but it's not good to have, smoky chimneys, bad buildings, poor working condition. See, first impression is the last impression. And if you cannot pay your taxes on time, and the government doesn't get its due, who has given you permission to do the business, what right you have to do the business? No right. If as a business you are into tax evasion, see what happened? People were evading tax, government imposed initially VAT and then GST. Had people not done that, that would have not happened. The business community, if it would have adhered to the paying of tax regularly, VAT would have not been imposed, and later on GST would have not been imposed. GST is good for the society, but implication is not proper. So there are many things which have to be covered up. Business has to adhere to all the things in a proper manner. An enterprise must respect the laws of the country and pay taxes regularly and honestly. If India starts doing that, you will not believe, we would be just like the countries abroad, like USA, like Europe, where elderly get free of cost living, and then where lot many amenities and facilities are provided to the citizens of the country. We don't have any of these. Why? Because we are responsible for it. We are not paying our taxes. We are evading the taxes directly or indirectly. Do the savings. Nobody says do not do the savings. If you can manage, do savings. But whatever is mandatory, pay at least that much of tax. It must behave as a good citizen and act according to the well accepted values of society. Very important. It must protect the natural environment and should avoid bad effluent, smoky chimneys, ugly building, dirty working conditions. This is what I told. It really makes an impact on what kind of place you're working in. So if you do not care for the environment will not take care of you. For last 7 or 8 months since lockdown started in 2020, people have been talking about the improvement of natural environment conditions and whatnot. Who is responsible for it? See, we stopped going out, things became better. So that means we are responsible for it. We as the citizens, we as the business people, we as the consumer. So similarly, we are not manufacturing the goods. Goods are being manufactured by the business. So business has to take care initially, and then ultimately others would follow. Right. It must also develop a proper image in society through continuous interaction with various groups of people. Yes, it has to. So when there is an imposition that ban the polythene, ban it. Don't use it. We as consumer must not take it. If somebody is giving, refuse. That is our responsibility. The business will immediately learn. But neither do we take initiative, or not, and nor are they interested, because that comes out at a cost. The other polythene comes out at a cost. So social responsibility of the business towards the society, community, consumers, workers, and vice versa. We all have to be responsible people towards the society. Next topic we are going to do is the social responsibility, arguments for social responsibility, why business needs social responsibility. That will be done in the next video. Till then, bye bye, ciao.